we've had so far. How exciting to be here with all of you. This is an interactive live call-in show, and we're so excited to have you here. What a joy to be with all of our friends until the ends, upon which it all depends who will be here. Can you hear me, everybody? Do you hear me? Do you care? What is that? That is, who sings that song? Do you hear me? Do you care? Doobie doo doo, looby there. So welcome in, everybody. We are just getting started. We're so sorry for the delay. We are just calling it all up. We're entering all the things into all the pieces of the internet across the global internet spectrum. That is what we are doing. We are so grateful to have you here. Get on in here. We're going for 9 million trillion followers today. And we'd be so grateful if you became one of them. We would be so grateful if you had it in your heart and your soul to interact with your old friend Deuce as he brings you this program sponsored by Grass Milk. Grass Milk Soar. That's right. Let's make that look better. Wow, look at that. So good. So everybody get in here. We're waiting for folks to arrive, especially if you are here on Substack. We are so happy to be with you. We love you. We're grateful for you being here on the program today. And we are going to enjoy ourselves, aren't we? That's right. We're going to enjoy ourselves. And I guess we're having some trouble broadcasting, and that's great. That's okay. That's the way of the world. So we're just going to make sure everything's working and get in on this chat. Everybody, if you are on Substack, we want to hang out with you. We are just going to get started. That's what we're going to do today. We're just going to go right into it. We're going to get your mind ready. Go for it. Come on and break a sweat. Rock and roll. You ain't seen nothing yet. That's what we're talking about. There is no one here in all of the other channels. We're just going to wait a little bit for folks to arrive. So we're just going to make sure we're working and get in on this chat. Everybody, we're on Substack. Hey, good morning. Who's saying that? Good morning, Rev. Who even said that? Who even said that? I can't see that name. Oh, Mockingbird, David. Oh, your name came in blue, David. Good morning. We've had not the best morning. And so here we are, and we're ready. The devotees are here to hear the word. And so that's so exciting. So here we go. Let's keep it going. We got it all figured out, man. You know what I mean? We got it all figured out, man. So let's go. Let's get started. What does this say? Interactive call-in show. Is that what it says? All right. Hey, Shirley Cooper. Here we go. We're going to start reading the news with Deuce. Not the best start to the show today, but that's okay. The chat is super delayed, says David. Can you hear me in both channels? Basically, my whole system crashed this morning when I tried to get started, and so that's why we're in the state that we're in. So let's get started. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to go through the news with everybody, but of course, that didn't work when I just clicked on that. And I also have to remember to get the thing ready. This is, Deuce was saying he was going to get the show started better, but everything crashed. And not in the good way, like Dave Matthews crash into me. You know what I mean? It was more like the universe was crashing into Deuce and causing him what the Italians call agita. That's the website. No. Where's the window? Window, hello, window capture. Properties. I did last night. I did upload. Last night I did upload a thing from our friend. Last night I uploaded a thing from our friend. I can't even think, you guys. Hold on. There we go. Okay, well, here we go. David, you put a link in, and those links don't get shared, I guess. Hey, everybody, come on in. The water's warm, Mark. We are working on the show. We're getting it started. We're getting it underway. Everything seems to be a little delayed. This article was shared with me by Lilith. Reform for Family Code. Okay, cool. Well, look, let's get into it here. So this is Nina Jankowicz to the European Parliament. Before I describe the details of Russia's recent online influence campaigns, I would like to call upon you to stand firm against another autocracy, the United States of America. Nina Jankowicz is a disinformation expert. Let's hear what she has to say.
Transparency of them. Neither feeding them harmful and hateful content. Their executives, some of the richest men in the world, have aligned and ingratiated themselves with some Western leaders, including the US president, not for the good of representative democracy, but for their personal enrichment. Anti-democratic regimes in Russia, China, Iran, and elsewhere are taking advantage of this environment, launching interference campaigns that aim to undermine the democratic process with little pushback. And homegrown anti-democratic forces have launched a coordinated campaign to undermine researchers, journalists, advocates, and civil servants who work to expose their lies.
You can hear the video.
The confluence of these forces has hobbled some democracies' responses to the strategic threat that we are here to discuss today, Russian hybrid threats. Just last week, in the United States, Secretary of State Marco Rubio gleefully announced he was obliterating the office tasked with tracking and responding to foreign information manipulation and interference. Many other U.S. government institutions have been similarly dismantled in the months since President Trump took office, all under the guise of protecting free speech and allegedly, quote, ending censorship. Now, the European Union has become the subject of the Trump administration and tech executives' ire, as it dares to implement the legislation that you, its duly elected representatives, drafted, debated, and passed on behalf of your constituents. The United States has now become the largest lobbyist for these multi-billion-dollar corporations and is harassing any nation or body that aims to conduct oversight or require transparency of them. Neither Washington nor the social media platforms it has captured are interested in preserving democracy. They are interested in maintaining their power and hoarding profits. And so, before I describe the details of Russia's recent online influence campaigns, I would like to call upon you to stand firm against another autocracy, the United States of America. The Trump administration is undoubtedly preparing a pressure campaign to force EU institutions to roll back regulation like the DSA, to end support for Ukraine, to stop holding Russia to account. Do not capitulate. Hold the line. Doing so is the clearest signal the European Union could send to Russia and other adversaries that it will not stop fighting to preserve democracy at home and around the world. The Russian Federation, of course, is thrilled to witness division within and between democracies. Moscow continues to actively exploit deepening fissures in our societies in order to amplify discord and polarization.
Okay, well, wowzy zowzy. That was Nina Jankowicz. She's a disinformation expert. Let's check in on Nina Jankowicz. The video's in full screen too, so it's the best view I think we've had to watch a video on stream. Heck yeah. How do you feel in the Substack chat? I know a lot of our Substackers, they are unable to talk live because they are getting ready. They are talking to their family and their loved ones. They are getting their kids out the door. But so let's just look up Nina Jankowicz. Please ignore the Proton Pass. So Nina Jankowicz, you can find her on Blue Sky. She's the author. She's the CEO of AmericanSunlight.org. Disinformation expert Nina Jankowicz. Rev Deuce was not following her yet. Rev Deuce is going to add Nina Jankowicz to the Public Enlightenment Blue Sky account of Disinfo Experts. And so we've just gotten stronger today, just now in that moment. Welcome in, everybody. We're reading the news with Deuce. You can see the menu on the main tub screen here. We can talk to MAGA folks about their information diet. We can talk to all of you about your media diet. The reason we are where we are as a country is because information is everything. Information becomes our outcomes. And for the last 60 years, we have sat idly by as right-wing Christian extremist billionaires have taken over our means of communication and use it to manipulate our society, to get us to be more conservative than we otherwise would be as a society, and to pay people like Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro and others to manipulate all of us. So we have to care about everyone's information diet, and that is what we do here. So we're so grateful for you for being here, and we are going to continue with the program. Of course, we're going for 9 million followers, 9 million new followers and subscribers across all apps. So why don't you get in there and make sure that you are one of those 9 million followers and subscribers. As we go through the news with Deuce, please pay me money. Okay, here we go. Let's keep going through the news with Deuce. So this is a critique of our mainstream media here. That's what this is. So we've got Oliver Willis talking about, he's sharing this headline. His critique is not actually what I would say my critique is, but here we go. Trump promised big, beautiful deals, delivering has been tougher. So this just, again, Donald Trump is one of the most unfit people to ever, lead any country in the history of the world. And he is a corrupt liar. He is a sexual abuser. He is self-enriching himself at all times. Pretty weird, wild stuff that is happening. Hey, Gene Elba in the chat is saying that using independent media is part of how they are coping. Gene, would you tell us what your sources of information are? And Gene, we would love it if you wanted to call into the show and talk about your media diet. That would be incredible. This is an interactive call-in show, of course, after all. So Trump promised big, beautiful deals. Delivering has been tougher. So the thing about a headline like this, right, and then the subhead is, so far the goals of any president's Trump's negotiations have been unrealized, even though he said he would accomplish in a matter of days or weeks. So the average New York Times reader, who is probably a center or slightly left person or center-right person in this country, if we're using accurate definitions, and, whatever. And so the average person reads this and they go, oh, okay, this is an article that is about how Trump promised this stuff and then he's not delivering. But let's think for a couple seconds about the reality of this headline. It ignores the reality that Trump is attempting an administrative coup. It ignores the reality that Donald Trump is an absolutely corrupt and unfit figure. That can be the case even if he won the election, right? And so this kind of pacifying, normalizing headline. Exactly. David gets it in the chat. It's not natural to be able to deliver on all promises you make when you campaign. Trump is abnormal. This treats Trump, again, as just a normal politician. Trump is not a normal politician. He is destroying the country. He has set up a crypto coin and put a bucket of anonymous bribery with that crypto coin outside of the White House, saying, if you want to bribe me to do anything, just show me the receipt. I don't know who's giving me the money. No one knows who's giving me the money. Come to me with the receipt and I will do the thing that you want me to do. And that is how it works. And so that is unacceptable. And this is one of the most unfit people to ever lead any country. And this is a normalizing thing that the New York Times is doing. So I'd love to point out right now in this moment, this article, New York Times is a right-wing newsletter. This is one of my favorite things to go back to to kind of ground us all in the understanding. New York Times is a right-wing newsletter with recipes. This is from last year. This is from 1 year ago by Jameson Fozer. And, let's go to the conclusion. And then I invite you all to read this on your own. I don't know. That's a good question. David in the chat is asking that question. The New York Times is an active and eager participant in a right-wing culture war intended to demonize and destroy any institutions that might provide the slightest bit of resistance to Trumpist authoritarianism. Again, this was written a year ago. Plus, they publish recipes in Wordle. I'll conclude the same way I conclude my piece in the New York Times and Christopher Rufo back in January. There's an endless supply of right-wing grifters and con artists like Rufo. He isn't really the problem. He's fungible. I would disagree with that. The problem is that whenever a new huckster on the right emerges, the New York Times falls all over itself to amplify his lies. They did precisely the same thing with James O'Keefe almost 15 years ago. At some point, when the same news company seems to keep falling for transparent bullshit, we're the suckers if we don't conclude that they're just doing what they want to do, and we're helping them get away with it. The Times doesn't much care if liberals think the Times is easily manipulated by right-wing liars. They'd much prefer that to liberals recognizing that the Times purposefully helps peddle right-wing lies. The former merely leads to exasperation with the Times and frustration that right-wing propagandists are so effective. The latter would lead to canceled subscriptions. So we invite you to read that. We're going to drop that in our Discord, but it's the reality of what is going on in this world, and that the New York Times is not your friend. The New York Times is a handmaiden to the rise of fascism in this country. They do still do quality reporting. They do still sometimes break major stories, but in general, they exist to normalize the rise of fascism in this country. And so we think that that's an important thing for us to focus on. So you definitely want to get in on our Substack, on our Discord, where we share that in the channel Fact Warriors every single day. So let's keep moving on with the news. You're reading the news with Deuce. Isn't that fun? We're having the best time ever. Just a reminder to everyone, at all moments, you are in an information war. That's right, at all times. Thank you, David. The thing about all that, David, is that I couldn't figure anything out today. I couldn't get anything right. So anyway, here we are. We're back in the screen share tub, and we are talking about the free speech website where the owner who believes in free speech will throttle your access if you criticize him, even if you support all the far-right conspiracy theories and bigotry he supports. So speaking of the New York Times... okay. So the phone number is right there on the screen. Gene, thank you so much for wanting to join and talk to us. So Gene, the phone number is right there on the screen after this video gets, we're on a delay, you and I. Gene, we are on a delay. So Gene, the phone number is, let me just type it into the thing. The phone number is 917 477 7964 477 7964, and you can call that, and I will hopefully see it when you do. So give us a call, Gene. We'd love to talk to you about your sources of information. So even though we just criticized the New York Times, and so we hope you can see that at the top of the screen, Gene, but we also have it in the chat now. But so the New York Times that we just criticized also does good analysis and information, right? It's a weird time to be alive and try to be getting fact-based information about the world. So the free speech website where the owner who believes in free speech will throttle your access. So look at this. This person criticized Musk on X. Apparently it's like a Musk fan. And then their reach collapsed. So we're going to put that one in the Discord in the Fact Warrior space for everybody. because it's all about being a fact warrior. It is all about sharing fact-based information. When they flood the zone with shit, we flood the zone with facts. That's what we do here, everybody. So we want you to check that out on Blue Sky, and you can always go to our account where we retweet these things as well, or whatever the word is, ahead of time for everybody. We are waiting to see if Gene calls in. Let's see what else is going on in the news with Deuce. This is just the Wall Street Journal of all places reported that we live in an oligarchy. We knew it. Okay, here we're going to take Gene's call. Hello, Gene.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm okay.
Gene,
I listened. Oh, I was just going to...
Yeah, keep going.
No, I was going to say, I heard you yesterday, and now today I looked for you, and here I am.
I love that, Gene. That makes me feel so good. I had major technical difficulties to start the day today, and so I'm feeling a little down, and you're lifting me right up. So, Gene, I'm going to reach across. I'm going to reach across the internet, and I'm going to put my hand on your shoulder, and I'm going to say, "I got your back." Can you do the same for me?
I am absolutely doing that.
Wonderful.
And everyone else too.
I love that, Gene. Gene's got everyone's back across the universe right now. That's so beautiful. This is a tub of love and support, of energy, commitment, giving, connection, and trying to listen to other people's ideas and commit to them even when they are not our own. So, Gene, we want to hear what you have to say. You called in, I think, maybe to talk about your media diet, but we want to hear what you have to say about the times that we're in, about media and information and how it impacts our outcomes politically.
Okay, so a long time ago, I gave up on, watching anything on cable news programs like CNN, all of them. Couldn't stand it. So I went for a while with having to find my news, and I hadn't discovered independent media yet. So I was like, what the hell is happening? So you're absolutely right. If you can't listen to regular media, MSM media, then you got to find the other stuff. So you know what's going on. So anyway, here's who I listen to. I read The Contrarian with Jen Rubin and Norm Eisen.
Sure.
I read To the Contrary with Charlie Sykes.
Okay.
I listen to Steve Schmidt, and I love Molly John Fast.
Okay.
And Glenn Kirshner.
Uh-huh.
Harry Littman. They're a couple of lawyers.
Yeah.
I listen to Anand G. I will not try to say his last name.
Giridharadas.
Giridharadas, thank you. He is awesome. He has the best guests because they're not just talking about one thing. Like one day he'll have on like a person whose job is she does focus groups and she knows how to make messages.
Is it Anat Shankar Osorio?
No, I'm not. Yes, I'm not. Yes, Shankar Osorio. That's it. She is wonderful, and I wish the Democratic Party would avail itself of her. I like Ruth Ben-Giat on Lucid.
Sure.
Dogs of Generation X is 3 guys. They are so passionate and funny at the same time, which is always good.
Now, who's that last one? You're just rattling these off the top of your head. You are definitely an information fact warrior. What?
Oh, I wrote them down. While I was waiting for the phone number. Dogs of Gen X. It's Dogs of Generation X.
Is that a podcast? What is that?
Yeah, it's a podcast. It's the 3 of them, and they are so good.
Okay, we love that.
They get mad just like we are. Yeah, I will get back to you if that's the incorrect name of them. Because I couldn't find them quick enough. I like the Bulwark, some of their stuff. They have an annoying paywall. You'll read like a third of the article and then, So I don't like that, but I do like their, what do I want to say there? I like their podcast. Like they'll do an interview and then later they'll show you the whole thing. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you know Hal Sparks? He does a podcast.
Hal Sparks, the comedian. How do you have time to listen to and absorb all these things, Gene?
Because I'm retired.
Okay.
And I've always been a politics fiend. You know, I've
Uh-huh.
always been watching what the hell's going on in the U.S.
Yeah.
One problem I made, one mistake I made was I didn't put it together that for 40 years, our own country and all the people in charge of it have been ripping us off.
Uh-huh.
Like, for 40 years, probably more, no regular American has gotten a raise based on cost of living rise with your pay.
Uh-huh.
So we've been working our asses off for nothing. And I don't want to be rich, you know, and I don't think most people necessarily want that as an end goal. What they want is to have a good job and be able to buy a house or a great condo. They want to send their kids to decent schools. They want the firemen and the police to come on time. You know, it's just regular stuff.
Absolutely.
And it kills me. It just kills me that it's being like destroyed like systematically and with complete disregard for us, the people.
Yeah.
Like all these billionaires, they're going to be okay. They're going to have bunkers and shit. They can take their yacht out in the ocean and be all right. You know, so anyway, it's maddening, as I'm sure everyone can agree. Hal Sparks is lots of fun. He doesn't hold back. He is funny. Although right now, I don't know, I didn't know him before, so he may have been funnier, and now it's a lot more serious, of course.
Sure.
And now I also like the God Pod for fun.
Okay. You
They're
have fun
funny.
listening to the God Pod.
Have you heard it?
No.
Oh my God, it's so funny. It's God, and they do it with animation.
Okay.
So it's God up there, and then Jesus down below. And he talks like this: "Thou shalt smite Donald Trump." So he's hilarious. And
Yeah.
I watch them.
Okay, cool.
And they just started to have guests. All their guests are comedians. They just started that. And then now I've added to my list information warfare.
Yeah, heck yeah. Public, you mean this? You mean what we're doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is called Public Enlightenment, and you're in the Megachurch of Joy, which is a church that I founded in 2014 based on the tenets of quality improvisational comedy. Because what we learned as an improviser is that in the face of fear, when we are unsure on the stage of comedy, it is best to use the 6 tools: energy, support, commitment, giving, connection, and gratitude. And they help us get over and interact with and be able to achieve joy in the face of fear. And so we like to apply those same things to life. And then at the same time, we are information nutritionists. And so we push back on the program of fear that is tuned for us by the oligarchs and the billionaires. And Gene, we're so grateful to have you here. So Gene, you gave us so many great ideas. You gave us so many great things. Gene, I want to also hip you to another thing where if you have friends who you interact with who say, okay, Gene, I guess you are the Queen Gene of Information Stream is my friend Gene. Is what they will say. And so when you're talking to them and they may say, well, Gene, I can't keep up with all that. I can't follow all that. Gene, you have so much time and energy for all this. I mean, I get it. And I'm so appreciative that I have a friend who's so knowledgeable. You are a rock star, Gene, but I can't be asked to do all that. So one thing you could show your friends to do is if they know how to use Blue Sky, which I mean, it's just like all the others. Everybody should get off Twitter and go on Blue Sky. So you can go to Public Enlightenment, and I'm showing it on the screen right now, and you can click on lists.
Thanks.
It kind of hides out over in this corner. And then what you can find is these lists. And you were talking about the news that you consume, and I'll tell you what, we've got the Contrarian in here, we've got the Bulwark in here, we've got Muskwatch, we've got New Republic, ProPublica, The Intercept, Talking Points Memo, Popular Information. So these are all news feeds of that what these places post their articles and stuff to Blue Sky, right? And you can also go into other lists. I've got legal experts, right? So we want to know in this time, like what's actually constitutional, what's Donald Trump doing that's not unconstitutional, or if there's a major case like the Kilmar Abrego case, you can go into this space and you can see what legal experts that I've compiled are saying about the different cases. Here we've got Aaron Racklin Melnick, who's He's spoken before Congress recently about these issues brought in to basically be maligned by right-wing, MAGA Congress people. But this is a place where you can get all this context and news and information. You can consult with historians. You can consult with diverse opinion, right? You can get fact checkers. So I'd really love it, Gene, because I know that you are a fact warrior in the tub of joy with all of us. And so I'd really love it if you ever have it to be top of mind to recommend this for people, because I think it really is a nice resource that people could use to find information.
Okay, now tell me the name again, because I had written down information warfare, but what's
I'm so glad
title?
that your biggest takeaway was information warfare, because that is kind of the most important part. But so this is called, this channel, this Substack is called Public Enlightenment. And so it's just publicenlightenment.com. And then when you are on Blue Sky, the handle is super easy for you. It is at publicenlightenment.com. I made it so easy.
Got it. Now on Blue Sky, I'm going to have to learn how to use it, because right now all I get are the social media part where people are just saying he sucks and all that. So how do I find what you're talking about?
Sure. So here we go. This is amazing. I love you so much, Gene. I'm so appreciative of you. And it sounds like you're from New England originally.
I am. I'm there now.
Perfect. Which part? Massachusetts, Rhode Island?
Massachusetts, baby.
I could tell. I hope you don't drive like a Massachusetts person, but I love it.
No, I'm the one that everyone is beeping at.
Okay, cool. Well, they're insane over there. Now, here we go.
Oh, my God.
Here's what you would do, Gene, is you would just go into Blue Sky, and I don't know why everything's highlighted. Stop that. Stop it. What happened? Hold on now. What in the heck? Why is everything highlighted? Okay. So, Gene, you would just go into Blue Sky, and then you could go to the search if you wanted to, right? So, you go to the magnifying glass, and you just type in at Public Enlightenment, and hopefully it'll come up. And so you don't have to go too far, and you see it. That's the little bulb, the little light bulb thing is me. Okay, and you click on that, and then you're there. You're at my profile, right? And then over here in the corner, it's kind of hiding because I don't know how to get rid of all this stuff, but it says lists. Okay, so you just click on my lists, and then they're all there for you. And the other thing that you can do, Gene, is what would be really cool for you maybe is you could take this one like the news, right? You click on that, and then you can pin it. Look at this. You see this button up here, pin to home?
Yeah. So
you hit pin to home, and then when you go back to the home thing in that feed where you said everyone's just saying this guy's a jerk and that person's a jerk, then on your feed at the top right there for you at all times, you can just click on the news, and it's just there.
Perfect.
It's just there for you. And so you could add as many as you want. And so we're so grateful that you went through that with us, because it's just that easy. But, it does take a little bit of explaining. Art Levine, thanks for the follow. We know Art from back in the day coming to the Media and Democracy Project meetings. So, Art, thank you for that. But so, Gene, how wonderful that we are becoming fact warriors together in real time in this moment. I'm so grateful for you.
I know. This is so cool. I love Substack. Like, that's where I found all these people, and I was so relieved because, and it wasn't just because people agreed with me. It was that they were informing me. So then I can make my own decision, right?
Absolutely. There are so many friggin' Substacks these days. And so what this Substack is focused on is information nutrition. I'm an information nutritionist, even though I look like a maniac, right? And so what I
love Tub of Joy, too.
Yeah, heck yeah. So what I care about most is that all of our outcomes are the result of information. And you kind of have been on that journey yourself as you have recognize that, cable news is sort of a low information diet. There's sensationalism. There is too much focus on a limited range of topics, right? And it's all about making profit ultimately at the end of the day. There is journalism that happens there. We're not maligning everyone who works at, like a MSNBC or a CNN, but, it is there are other ways to get information that are healthier, as it were, right? But so the thing
Sure.
is that it's also becoming so hard, as you have recognized, and not everybody has your time and energy, which is incredible, right? You recognize that you're a special person, right?
I do.
So not
Yeah,
everybody
it's
has your
funny.
time and your energy. And so what I do is I try to create. So if you're looking at the screen here, I've got this article because, you know, so many of us know young people who are into this guy, Charlie Kirk. But Charlie Kirk is literally just a perpetuation of the 60-year effort by Christian nationalists to rework our society, to build the support for a theocracy. That's literally what's really going on in this country. And so we are talking all the
Absolutely.
time, every morning on this show. I don't know if you know about Jenny Cohn and the Bucks County Beacon, but those are the types of people who write about the Christian nationalist problem in this country. But so I've got a thing about Barry Weiss. I've got a thing about where to find national news that reports in the public interest, that tells us what's really going on. So I've created this, Gene, so that people, unlike you, can get closer to fact-based, nonprofit, independent media reporting in the public interest. So I'm so grateful for you.
Right.
Wait, we've got somebody. We've got Little Bits. Lakla's mama is in the chat saying what garbage in the Substack chat. So we would love for that person. Grayson is saying blinker time. We don't know what you mean, Grayson. Gene, thanks for hanging while I manage these chats. But so there's apparently...
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
There's apparently...
The only thing I want to... Can I just add this?
Yeah.
I like the Contrarian mostly because it's not... All their money is going to support Norm Eisen, who's the lawyer that's bringing a ton of cases against Trump. So all the money goes to their legal work.
Okay, well, that's fascinating. I didn't know that, but so that's interesting. It's like a way to do activism while at the same time getting news and information. So that's pretty cool. So, Gene, we're so grateful for you. And we love you, and we want you to come back, and we want you to tell everybody about public enlightenment.
I will.
Okay, great.
Keep it up. Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye now. Well, we love Gene. That's incredible. Now, we want to see if Little Bit and Lakela will call into the show. Would you like to call into the show, Little Bit and Lakia's mama? You said what garbage, and we're curious if you mean that you think it's garbage, what we're talking about, and how we're talking about it. Gene, the chat loves you on Twitch. Big fans of you. Brainstorm's End is on Instagram. Hello, welcome. Gene is spelled Jeanne, I believe. I believe that's how Gene was spelling her name. Now, Little Bit and Lakia's mama, we would love to talk to you, but it doesn't seem like you're calling into the show. The number is right there on the screen. I'll try not to miss it. And we'd love to know if you're going to call in. Yeah, well, sometimes Gene Wilder is top of mind for so many people in this world because he was so funny as Willy Wonka. So let's go back to reading the news with Deuce. Let's get into it. So where are we? We were showing about how the Wall Street Journal is reporting that that $1 trillion of wealth was created for the 19 richest U.S. households last year. And some of those households used that money to fund Ben Shapiro, to fund Daily Caller, to fund Daily Wire, to fund Charlie Kirk. You can read all about that in our latest Public Enlightenment piece. Charlie Kirk is a billionaire psyop. It is about... And then, Art, you are dropping something in the Substack chat that is another Substack, The Real Deep State. We love that, Art. Is that about Christian nationalism? Let's see if we can... How do we grab that? Jeez Louise. Let's try and grab that from Art right now, live. We're doing it live. Let's get into the chat. No, the chat is gone. $1 trillion... Okay. Art, you could just tell me how to fight. You should read this when you get a chance and link to it. It's a very comprehensive overview of how the decades of Republican lies and propaganda money brought us to where we are now. That's incredible. Okay, we're going to look that up. Daily Wire to look that up right now because we are doing it live, okay? Hey, Grayson, we love that emoji. What a cool emoji you shared with us. Also, we want to remind everyone at all times about the importance of caring about everyone's media diet. How do we have fascism in America? Because we have allowed Fox News to play in the pizza parlors and doctor's offices and all of these places across America. How do we have fascism in America? Because it has been part of a decades-long plan. Here is the co-founder of Fox News, Roger Ailes, writing in the 1970s in the Nixon White House a plan for putting the GOP on TV news. And you can see right here in the middle, he says, why does he want to put it on TV news? Because people are lazy with television. You just sit, watch, listen. The thinking is done for you. That is the program of these people. That is why we have fascism in America. And so are you hooked up to Information Light? Or are you imbibing and keeping strong with Information Tight, baby? You know what I'm saying? That's what we want to be doing at all times. And we are at all times in an information war. So we are going to look at this article that our friend Art shared in the chat. It says it has very little interaction, but that does not mean anything on Substack. There really are incredible amounts of people writing incredible stuff. So on Friday, I became physically uncomfortable watching our leaders embarrass and belittle an ally. This is from about a month and a half ago, March 2nd. Disorder and betrayal. This seems like it's pretty long. The deep state isn't your enemy. Let's see. Let's keep going. If we wait until it hits us, it's too late. This is about an executive order. Is this not the article that you were talking about? I don't think this is the article that you're talking about, Art. So, Gene, you sound like you might be aware of the Media and Democracy Project, which is maybe it's Waleed Shahid. Who's it by? Oh, Lukium. Okay, we want to find that person. Lukium. Okay. Boom. Okay, wow, this is comprehensive. American Manifesto. Okay. Here we go. The Real Deep State, part 1 of 7. At the request of several readers, this article is part of multi-series exposing the real deep state. Yes, exactly. This is what I talk about as well. Incredible. Okay. Yep, this is it. This is everything right here. Thank you so much, Art. Wow, this person worked really hard. Holy crap. This is incredible. Oh, Little Bit and Lakia's mama jumped in and said, context misunderstood. Keep up the good work. Take care. Well, we love you, Little Bit. We still would love to talk to you, but okay, we appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can jump to conclusions on the internet. We all know that. Art, also, yes, please check out our Charlie Kirk piece that is live. It's the top thing on our page right now. But this is incredible. This is so good. I love this, Art. Thank you. Yep, here it is. Paul Weyrich. Perfect. I can use this as a resource. This is incredible. Yep, nice. This is exactly what I like to do. This is incredible. Thank you so much, Art. We're going to drop that in Fact Warriors on our Discord so that everybody who's a part of our Discord community can easily access it. Yes, right on. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Art. That is so great. Because that is what, if MAGA people come in, we can share that with them. We hope that they will read that much, but maybe they won't, but whatever, we gotta hope. 50% of Americans read at or below a 6th grade level. Only 12% of us pay for any type of news at all. That is part of why we have fascism in America. We've got someone calling in. We have no idea who it is. Maybe it's Art. Let's see. Hello? Hello. Hello. Hello? Okay, well, we have someone on the line, but they are not speaking. And so we are going to hang up with that person starting right now. Okay, well, that was exciting. A random phone call, and we just took it because that's what we do here. All right, let's keep going through the news with Deuce. Where were we? We were talking about how the Wall Street Journal has been reporting on gross wealth inequality, which is, kind of interesting because the Wall Street Journal is the journal of wealth inequality. So that's kind of fascinating. And did we reposted that, so you can find that on the timeline of Blue Sky, of Public Enlightenment on Blue Sky. So let's keep going. A survey of more than 500. This guy, I think he's a conservative. Yeah, I think he's slightly conservative. He's a Washington Post columnist. Anyway, a survey of more than 500 political scientists finds that the vast majority think the United States is moving swiftly from liberal democracy towards some form of authoritarianism. So we want to be always keeping up with this kind of reporting. We want to always be consulting experts. I might read that and find more experts to add to our political scientist Blue Sky list so that you can always get healthy information and context for what's going on from experts like political scientists. So we are going to drop this one in the Discord chat as well. How amazing to be part of a community that is full of fact warriors who realize that the billionaires and the oligarchs have the power and money to use the means of communication and direct it towards the manipulation of all of us. But what we have is tens of millions of us. There's tens of millions of people on this call right now. Haha, wouldn't that be great? But so we have tens of millions of us, and so we know that we can speak back to the algorithms, and we have to spread fact-based information and joy at all times to push back on the fear-based program of hate and division that allows them to enrich themselves and consolidate power. A survey of more than 500 political scientists finds that the vast majority think the United States is swiftly moving from liberal democracy towards some form of authoritarianism. In the benchmark survey known as Bright Line Watch, I think this might be from a couple weeks ago, but it was reported just now. Okay. I saw this reported by someone else, a different political scientist that I follow. So Stephen Levitsky is someone who I've seen speak publicly before. He has, as it says here, author of How Democracies Die. A Princeton sociologist who has spent years tracking Hungary, a different person now. Kim Lane Sheplet is also deeply concerned. We're on a very fast slide into what's called competitive authoritarianism. And now Stephen Levitsky wrote a piece about competitive authoritarianism for foreign policy not too long ago. We covered that on the program. So let's keep going through the news. This is interesting piece that people can use if they are doing some toe-to-toe, hand-to-hand combat with people who are unfortunately hooked up to the propaganda machine in this country. So a colleague at Stanford's business school. So this is this person, Hakeem Jefferson, who works at Stanford as a professor, and he has a piece, What DI Threatens Isn't Merit, It's Monopoly. So this is a political scientist, and it's a good way to reframe the issue. So it's all about framing. It's all about how we frame things. We could talk about the truth sandwich it a little bit. Maybe we will. Let's keep going through the news with Deuce. So here we go. We have up now on the screen the podcast pipeline, how the right recruits young men where they are. So I came across this. I did not read it all yet, so I'm very curious to see what this has to say. But so this says the pitfalls of mistaking digital ads for digital organizing. I don't know what that means. The rise of long-form influencers and podcasters. This is a young man named Aiden Ross, who Donald Trump's son, what's his name? Barron is a big fan of. And, he would just appear, Trump would appear on these, 25-year-olds shows, and he was normalized further for young people, from comedy to culture war. So this is an article that we think is worth retaining and reading. This person made a little chart here about the influence of these right-wing influencers. Charlie Kirk has 3 million subscribers on YouTube. He's got 4.8 million followers on Twitter. He's got 8.5 million followers on TikTok. I mean, it's unbelievable. Really, these numbers are out of control. And so that's why it's so important for people to spread the article that we recently wrote about Charlie Kirk, called Charlie Kirk is a Billionaire PSYOP. Please go to this article and restack it. You restack articles by clicking on this thing here that looks like a recycling symbol, sort of. So let's talk about the truth sandwich with everyone today. So we're going to bring up what a truth sandwich is, and we're going to talk to you about a rhetorical device that you should be using when you are online as a fact warrior. Let's just go to Wikipedia here. A truth sandwich is a technique in journalism to cover stories involving misinformation without unintentionally furthering the spread of false or misleading claims. It entails presenting the truth about a subject before covering misinformation, then ending a story by again presenting truth. Margaret Sullivan summarized it as reality, spin, reality, all in one tasty, democracy-nourishing meal. We love this. The idea was developed by linguist George Lakoff, and the name was coined in June 2018 by Brian Stelter of CNN. That's interesting. I was pretty sure that George Lakoff originally was calling it a truth sandwich. Jean has something really lovely to say in the Facebook in the Substack chat. She says, Anat Shanker Osorio also recommends that we, the opposition, might want to have parties and have fun to balance all the shit and coalesce as joyful warriors. And aside, after Vienna was invaded by Germany, the public still went to the opera and ballet. They still lived and enjoyed, to send a message of not being destroyed. And so that's so important, a message to carry on with all of us today. It's important to take care of yourself and still find joy in this time when we see the destruction of our country, when we see that we are on the precipice of a theocracy, the dream of people like Paul Weyrich and the Christian nationalists who have set to create hundreds of right-wing think tanks in order to manipulate all of our brains and our minds and make us accept the conditions for a theocracy in this country. Not all of us, but certainly so many of us. It's fascinating how delayed the Substack is today. Sorry about that. I don't know why that is. The internet sometimes is under construction. So Lakoff was specifically interested in the ways journalists were covering Donald Trump, who made an unprecedented number of false and misleading claims over the course of his term as president of the United States. Lakoff has written about Trump's effective use of language and framing techniques, understanding the media will cover and repeat his most controversial statements, stereotypes, and pithy mischaracterizations, thus turning even his critics into part of his marketing apparatus. And we saw that earlier with the New York Times article that we pulled up. Where was that? It's a perfect example of it, actually. So they just lead. So they are not practicing truth sandwiches at the New York Times. They just lead with Trump promised big, beautiful deals, right? So that carries Trump's promises uncritically. It leads with Trump's lies because Trump is one of the world's biggest liars, right? But we've had our mainstream corporate media normalizing Donald Trump since at least 2015, if not before, right? And so delivering has been tougher. Right? What are some alternatives? One thing we will start to play in this space is alternatives to headlines, right? We call it reframing. We call it, what the real headline is. So Trump promised big, beautiful deals. Delivering has been tougher. What could we say? We could say that Donald Trump, notorious liar, appears to have lied about the big, beautiful deals he would promise, right? I mean, we shouldn't also say big, beautiful deals. So let's just practice this exercise. How would we do a truth sandwich about this? So Donald Trump is a corrupt figure who often lies. He claimed leading into during the 2024 campaign that he would provide big, beautiful deals. Donald Trump is a notorious corrupt liar who lies about his stuff, and he has not delivered on any of those big, beautiful deals. That is like kind of how it goes. I'm not super elegant at it. Let's get back into the article about it. Standard journalism practice involves repeating claims made by public figures or quoting them directly, as we just saw. But when the public figure is spreading misinformation or disinformation, repetition of the claims can amplify them and increase their harm. Sometimes lies are too consequential to ignore, however, placing journalists in a difficult position. We literally see this all the time. Let's go to CNN right now. CNN.com, of course, the largest shareholder of its parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, is someone who believes that CNN should be more like Fox News, when Fox is obviously a propaganda channel, so that's not great. Trump's reversal on Powell has stocks roaring higher. Okay, I guess he said something out loud about Powell. Look at this. Do you consider yourself a journalist? CNN meets MAGA media at White House. Okay, I think we should watch that together. Lilith, we like your suggestion in the Substack. Trump promised big deals. Turns out they were for the ultra rich. But again, that just platforms the lie first, right? So how would we do that instead? So Trump promised big deals. We don't want to say that first if we're doing a truth sandwich. So Trump promised big deals. Turns out they were for the ultra rich. So I think it would be Trump has a history of only helping the ultra rich. He promised deals that would help all Americans. So far, all of his proposals help the ultra rich. How about something like that? So let's keep looking at this article on truth sandwiches. Lakoff explained his tactic to Brian Stelter. Okay, according to Lakoff, even if you cover a lie and say afterwards that was just said was false, the message has still been spread, and denying a frame activates the frame. Okay, so he argues that repetition strengthens frame circuits in the brain that we use to understand the world. A truth sandwich ensures that bad information is not the first thing people read or hear, nor the final impression of a story at the end. Restating false claims can reinforce them through repetition. But adding repetition of their fact-checking and rebuttal can have a similar effect. Lilith, we love that. Big, beautiful deal. Big deals for the ultra-rich, none for you. So I guess, though, we would also start, like, no deals for you, big deals, big deals. Yeah, we are sloganeering today. So Lakoff explained his tactic to Brian Stelter in June 2018. Lakoff, right now, people in the media allow Trump to manipulate them. So start with the truth that he's trying to hide. You make clear to that. And then you point out that the president is trying to hide this by lying. You might, in a few words or a few seconds, say a little bit about what the lie is and go back to the truth. Stelter, it's a truth sandwich. You've got a truth sandwich, a perfect way to imagine it. So I guess that is where it came from. So use by news media. PBS published a blog post which explained the principle behind a truth sandwich is already something its editorial standards address. Accuracy includes more than simply verifying whether information is correct. Facts must be placed in sufficient context based on the nature of the piece to ensure that the public is not misled. Absolutely. Roy Peter Clark wrote for Pointer that the idea of a truth sandwich is like the rhetorical concept of emphatic word order, where someone places emphatic words at the beginning and end of a sentence. In journalism, Clark wrote, the position of least emphasis turns out to be the middle. Okay? So do we all get it? Let's practice a little bit more. We're going to practice. We're practicing truth sandwiches. And one of the best ways to practice is to go to... I really want to watch this, though. So we're going to watch this in a second.
My first time in here.
Well, you're only...
It's just outrage bait from CNN, and it also is lifting up right-wing media. But let's go to the New York Times website, and we'll practice this right now. We'll see how badly... Now, I guarantee you, if we went to PBS, even though they say they have those editorial standards, or whichever one that we just were reading about. So let's see. Trump says he won't fire Powell, but battle over Fed may not be over. So I guess you would reverse that, right? This is Trump says he won't fire Powell. This isn't as egregious because it's just like, it's not necessarily a lie that we can understand in the moment is already a lie. President Trump said he had no intention of ousting Jerome Powell. Threats to the central bank's independence remain. So I think the real truth sandwich here would be Donald Trump is a known liar who cannot be trusted. He says he won't fire Powell. Donald Trump is a known liar who can't be trusted, right? I'm not saying that we would ever expect the New York Times to do a headline like that, but that's how we would do it. The markets are surging. The markets are surging. Kennedy declares sugar is poison in campaign against food industry. Okay. So what we say is right-wing grifter and conspiracy theorist Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Is attacking the food industry. One of his recent attacks is sugar is poison. Reminder, Kennedy is a right-wing conspiracy theorist who has been responsible for contributing to deaths overseas and a rise in infectious diseases in America. And he is attacking the food industry. So that's how we would truth sandwich that. Trump continues his back and forth on firing the last of the adults in the room. This is David is talking about this headline up above. We're practicing truth sandwiches, everyone, which is where you lead with factual information and not the frame of the disinformer. Then you include the disinformer's information. Then you end with, again, a refutation, a truth-based comment, a fact check of what that disinformer wants to share. So David's suggestion is Trump continues his back and forth on firing the last of the adults in the room, says he won't fire Powell, but battle over Fed may not be over. So that's an interesting addition. That's pretty good, David. Trump says undocumented immigrants shouldn't get trials before deportation. Okay, right? So this is an easy one. Again, this is just like how our system of information works. It is rife with the carrying forward of the ideas and the marketing and the strategies of propagandists and disinformers. So we see this. It says Trump says undocumented immigrants shouldn't get trials before deportation, right? Well, what it should lead with is the 5th and 14th Amendments to the Constitution ensure that everyone, whether they are a citizen or not, who is on U.S. soil has the right to due process. Trump says undocumented immigrants shouldn't get trials before deportation. His opinion is wrong because the 5th and 14th Amendments of the Constitution ensure due process to every person on U.S. soil, whether they are a citizen or not. Right? So they are just doing the work for Donald Trump at all times in the mainstream media. So we can keep finding these every single day. So again, here we see Elon Musk warns rare earth magnet shortage. So once you see these things, you can't unsee them. So every single day, our mainstream corporate system for informing the public aids and abets the disinformer, the propagandist, by just simply reprinting their propaganda and disinformation. So Elon Musk warns rare earth magnet shortage. Absolutely, David put in the chat. I would argue at this point the war on immigration has devolved into a war on due process. Absolutely. Because they can't achieve their aims and their propaganda aim of like saying, yeah, look at us. We're deporting the criminals and the, you know, all this stuff. First of all, they're lying about people already. So that's bad, right? But so Elon Musk warns rare earth magnet shortage may delay Tesla's robots. First of all, who wants Tesla's robots? I don't. And why is this like a story that is a big deal? Who gives a shit about a Nazi's robots? You know what I mean? That sounds good, Lilith. But so, like, who gives one fat crap about Elon Musk's robots, right? But so the way to reframe this is, ketamine-addled Nazi who lies all the time. Elon Musk is a ketamine-addled Nazi who lies all the time. Elon Musk warns rare earth magnet shortage may delay Tesla's robots. Elon Musk is a ketamine-addled Nazi who lies all the time. Okay? How Americans feel about Doge and Musk. We are just going to go and look at this because if this is one of those things where they interview a bunch of Americans who have no information, like who do not watch the public enlightenment space and who are not fact warriors, people like the idea of cutting government waste, but they dislike Mr. Musk and they're down on the Department of Government Efficiency. Well, that's great. That means that all of our fact warrior work has been so good and so successful. So people agree that government is inefficient. Doge is a good idea. Plus 6 people say that, but -12 say Doge is doing a great job. Interesting. And -18 say Musk is doing a good job with Doge. Well, that's great. Okay, well, that feels nice. Thanks, Jason Dyer. We're so grateful to hear you say that. Back for another round of listening. I appreciate your insights. We love that so much, Jason. If you could spread public enlightenment as far and as wide as you possibly could. The next thing I'm working on is a thing where you can, about fact-based influencers who are commenting about the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. And so that will provide you with things that you can spread, fact-based influencers who are spreading information about the world, because we have to meet the world where it is. I hear you on that one, Lilith. Lilith says Elon Musk again comes up short on deadlines, blames left or leftists. However, I think why would we add his blaming on the left, right? Like, I think you can just keep it to Elon Musk again comes short on deadlines, right? We don't have to carry his disinformation per se forward. That's just a thing that our news and information ecosystem likes to do. So let's go watch whatever this nightmare is here. I'd like to just check it out. This is a CNN piece on CNN meets MAGA media at the White House. And now the thing about MAGA media in the White House is that basically they have been figuring out reasons and ways that they can remove fact-based journalism organizations like the AP and then replace them with propaganda outlets like RSBN or OANN or whatever, all these things that we don't even know what they are. And so what that means is then it becomes a propaganda loop. So Caroline Leavitt, I don't know, is a disinformer at the podium, and then a propagandist tease her up with propaganda. Just like the other day, there were these people, I don't know if I'll be able to find it easily, who just were like, Donald Trump is looking so healthy. That was like their question. Like, Donald Trump is looking so healthy. Will he like do something to show about how healthy he is or something?
Probably with the most controversial White House course.
This is my first time in here.
Well, you're only probably with the most controversial White House correspondents.
And I'm actually really good at yelling because I used to be a ring announcer.
We're all biased, right? We just wear our bias, which I think is a pejorative term to begin with, on our sleeves.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm pro-Trump. The questions...
Okay, she's a co-host of Steve Bannon's War Room. Steve Bannon is a propagandist and is a member of the Council for National Policy. So this woman represents the Council for National Policy's attempt to create a theocracy in this country. And she is a quote unquote journalist who is in the White House. So I agree with her. Yes, everyone's biased. But what we don't understand as a public, because our mainstream media does not inform us with the prominence and frequency that is required for the threat that is posed to democracy by this. And journalism is a bulwark and meant to be a bulwark of democracy. Right? So when we see this woman who is Steve Bannon's apparatchik in the White House, that is terrifying. That is a perpetuation of the right-wing disinformation and propaganda ecosystem. Now, this other man who just started to speak on the screen, his name is Brian Greene, I believe. His name is Brian Greene. Absolutely, David. We've been doing that before sometimes, but maybe you just didn't notice, but that's okay. It doesn't look as good on Instagram, I'll tell you that. But so Brian Greene, right? He is Marjorie Taylor's boyfriend. He's the guy who said, why don't you wear a suit? in the White House, and we have a video about that on Public Enlightenment social media. But okay, so this is how it goes here. He is literally Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, and he used to do favorable coverage by getting paid by the Trump campaign. He did favorable coverage for his propaganda outlet, RSBN. I believe he's with someone else now. He's with Real America's Voice.
I ask, in my opinion, are going to help highlight the good things that he's doing for America.
These are White House correspondents like you've never seen before. They're part of the Trump administration's push to bring so-called new media into the White House.
We have an individual in our new media seat today.
Cara Castronova is White House correspondent for Lindell TV.
Go to mypillow.com.
Oh my God, you guys know.
Yes, that Lindell.
Boys will be boys, and
The new media outlets have full access to the White House briefing room, where they ask questions like this.
Will you guys also consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? And is he eating less McDonald's?
I mean,
I can confirm the president is in very good shape.
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office.
And the characterization that what you were doing, asking Zelensky that question, that you were trolling.
I'm not a troll. I never have been. That was a legitimate question I just wanted to ask. It didn't mean to, get everyone fired.
This guy's a professional troll who's in a relationship with a professional troll congressperson.
Up like they did.
Right now, the briefing room, the seats are, big networks up front. You're hoping that will be rearranged, that outlets like yourself might have a more prominent seat here?
Definitely. If it were up to me, I'd kick a lot of these outlets out. I view my role here more as sort of reporting on not so much the White House, but really the media.
Natalie Winters is White House correspondent for Steve Bannon's show War Room.
Our bias is not to be sycophants.
Okay, so she just said, I view my role here to attack the media. Literally, Steve Bannon has said Democrats are not the enemy, the media is, and that is why we flood the zone with shit. So this is literally an exercise in how they flood the zone with shit. Okay, do we understand? MAGA folks who may be listening, I hope you are. Gene says, I have never hated anyone in my long life, and now I hate so many. Gene, I want to briefly address that. So, Gene, this is a space of love and joy and support, and we understand how hard it is to support people when we think that they are doing evil in this world. But the attitude here is that every single human being is doing the best they can with what they have. And so even these disinformers and propagandists, something happened in their life that made them the way that they are. And now we're always going to have conservatives and liberals in this country. That is just how our evolutionary biology and psychology has evolved, right? We are always going to have people who seek closure and those who need to seek closure less. We are always going to have people who have a higher need for control over their environment and their understanding and comprehension of the world, and other people for whom that is not as big a cause of anxiety, and so they are going to have a different way of viewing the world. We are always going to have people with different sized amygdalas and different regions of the brain that process information in a way that makes them and experiences, right? If you live in an abusive household when you are a child, it is more likely that you will grow up to be a reactionary. These are real things about the world and what we understand about psychology. And so when we talk about every single person in MAGA, and I'm not saying you said this, Gene, but lots of people say, oh, everyone in MAGA is a racist. Everyone who votes for MAGA is racist, right? The thing is that we are all the products of our communities. We are all the products of the spaces we are in and the information across the entire course of our lifetime, and that includes experience as information. So we are the products of all of that. And so if you grow up in a place where you're born into an evangelical household, and in that household you go to church and your pastor says the Democrats, your pastor completely blows past the restrictions on campaigning and all that kind of stuff and still receives their tax exemption. But your pastor says that Democrats are drinking the blood of children, and that, the press is the enemy of the people. And he says that from the pulpit, and then your mayor in your town is saying that, and your dad is saying that. You may not think that you are racist, especially if you have someone like Charlie Kirk touring the country and going to your college and telling you all these these things and crafting all of these arguments to create these dog whistles that maybe you don't even realize is a dog whistle, just saying, oh, this is about DEI. You know what? Is it fair? I don't think it's fair. He's making good arguments. And the reason he's making good arguments is because he is a paid professional who practices these arguments and literally tours the country practicing them and doing them at all times. So, Gene, we're so grateful for your attitude of wanting to listen and agree with what Deuce is saying. Of course, if you didn't agree with what Deuce was saying, we are grateful for that too. But you said in the chat and Substack, fair point. I guess I needed to hear your gentle pushback. So, Gene, that's what it is all about here, right? Like in improv, we train ourselves to listen and to agree. And oftentimes we are listening and agreeing with ideas that are not our own. And so it's tough to try to figure out how to do that. And it does not mean that we need to support people who are hurting other people, right? Well, the number one rule of the Megachurch of Joy, which comes in handy so often, is don't be a dick. And so if you are being a dick, you will be asked to leave the class that you're in. If you're being a dick, you will be gently admonished by your coach or your teacher in an improv setting. And so when people are being dicks, we just need to have the dickheads, the people who are acting out fear's program of persecution, violence, bigotry, and domination. We need to usher them off of the stage of power and into the couch and onto the couch of therapy, as it were, right? So we can even have empathy for Donald Trump, but there's no planet on which Donald Trump should be the person who's running the country, right? Donald Trump clearly has suffered mightily in his life. His father was a member of the KKK. He obviously had issues in his household as a child, and his reaction to that was to develop a mental illness, right? To develop, narcissistic pathologies, right? And so, that's sad. But the thing about it is that, he has used that to be fear's agent in this world and to hurt other people. And so we cannot support that, and we have to move him off of the stage of power. And so we try to listen and agree with people whenever we can, while also recognizing that if you are being a dick, you need therapy, you need help, and we want to support you to get that help. But so, Gene, thank you so much for listening and for, it's not always easy to hear that something you just said is something that the person that you're listening to, me in this case, has some pushback on. And so I'm so grateful for your open energy and your energy of acceptance to think about that. And to allow that in a little bit, right? Because it's not you versus me when it comes to MAGA and everyone non-MAGA, right? It's us versus them. Our world has been made into a more conservative, extremist conservative world by these small group of literally American Taliban, right? Literally religious extremists and fundamentalists who want to end the democracy in our country. It's just that they look like, nice, rich, white people. And so it's harder for our brains, literally. I mean, I'm not trying to be racist here or anything, but it's harder for our brains to wrap around the concept that these people are the same as what, we've all been trained to, disparage and look down on when it comes to Sharia law. That's the thing that the MAGA people are so scared of, Sharia law. But the thing is that is what these people want to do in America. They want to have religious rule for their specific type of religion, and everyone else can go suck on some eggs. You know what I mean? So let's keep watching these disinformers and speaking back against them.
For President Trump, our bias is for our audience, which is the working class of America, the people who want to put this country first.
If Trump messes up, will you guys call it out?
Yeah, and we have. I think time and time again, particularly on the vertical and issue of immigration, we are not for stapling green cards to diplomas.
We met the new media correspondents on the day Trump announced tariffs that could upend the world economic order. As other news outlets reported on the tanking stock market, on Bannon TV, they celebrated.
This is the first day where a sitting president put America's working class first, and it's a glorious day to be standing here at the White House and to be able to say that and bring that to you.
Have the quote-unquote traditional reporters that are here been hostile to you at all?
Sorry, I was typing to David. I think she just said blatant disinformation, right? Hey,
Well, I
Madison.
think they know better than to come after Natalie Winters and the War Room posse, but it's the looks, the eye rolls, the conversations that I overhear.
They're adjusting to life as part of the White House press corps.
These big tents here is where you have CNN, ABC,
Right.
the networks, and you guys are kind of
So we're
off to the
kind
side
of
here.
off to the side, which is what a lot of alternate media is doing right now.
From the protocols
There were times at the beginning when we're standing kind of here, not realizing we're in people's shots.
to the snack selection.
And this is off topic. The vending machine is full of junk food, and I'm a big Maha person. I almost ate a beef Slim Jim yesterday. I was desperate.
That's just kind of a little weird. I don't know why they included that. Of course, big Maha person, the leader of Maha, just for context, packs lips of nicotine, is addicted to nicotine, and also, eats McDonald's on the plane with Donald Trump, and has taken so many steroids that he has destroyed his vocal cords. Anyway, sorry, moving on. Maha is a grift. It is a way to enrich certain people in the health and information space while privatizing things and making money for people who are on board with the program.
Do you consider yourself a journalist?
Yes.
Tell me.
Seems like you took a little pause to process that.
But I think we all should have a seat at the table. I really do. And if you look, the very first week she did the new media, it was Axios. And Axios, by no stretch of imagination, is a conservative new media.
But while not all new media here are MAGA,
Let's pause on that really quick, and let's just remind everybody, look, not every son is their father, but Axios is run by the founders of Politico, Jim Vandehei, and this other guy. What is his name? Mike something. Axios founders. His name is Mike Allen. Okay. And so one thing about Axios is that it is at least center right. It does tons of normalization of everything, normalizing Elon Musk, normalizing Donald Trump, normalizing the rise of extremism and fascism in this country over the last 10 years, which is why we are here, right? Mainstream media has carried the bag for the right-wing disinformation ecosystem. So we're going to look up Mike Allen, father. Okay, Mike Allen's father was Gary Allen. He was the spokesman for the John Birch Society. The John Birch Society is one of the most extreme right movements originating in the 1950s in this country that got us to where we are today. So, look, like, we can talk about how Axios is maybe mainstream. Obviously, this guy who is a right-wing propagandist literally is going to have a different view, but we all need to get on a understanding of our information ecosystem that is about the reality that it is being warped at all times by these forces from the right.
MAGA media, a lot of them are more cheerleading President Trump than challenging him.
You are a Trump fan, right?
Yes, I'm definitely a supporter of President Trump.
So will you be able to hold them to account?
Okay, exactly. These are the good questions that Donnie should be asking, right? Because it's insane that anyone in the White House press corps would say that they are a fan of the president, right? They literally, these people, this would be so good to have a conversation with the MAGA person, because they believe that everyone who is in mainstream media is doing what these people are doing, and yet these are the people that they are listening to, and they are proudly saying that they do not try to do their job to hold power to account. They literally are saying, I'm a propagandist, I root for Donald Trump, I try to frame things and do things so that Donald Trump looks friggin' great. Okay?
Then
I will be able to hold 100% him to account. There's, I'm sure, things that will happen that I disagree with, and I have said plenty of times, on the record, when I've disagreed with his decisions.
Is there anything so far in this administration you've disagreed with?
I'm not gonna, let me put some thought into that for a second. I'm just overwhelmed with how well I perceive things to be going.
But to the people, and I'm sure you see this online every single day, who say you don't deserve to be here because you're not a real journalist, what's your response to them?
Well, I'm pretty sure the group of people in there spent, 4 years covering for someone who was essentially dead, and that's being charitable in my description of him, a president by the name of Joe Biden. So
Okay, first of all, the fact that we could have predicted that that's what she was about to say, 4 years where he was basically dead. I mean, are you kidding my daddy? Like, this is, but the thing is that so many of our MAGA loved ones, like, just, they're on board with this, whether they're on board with a wink in their eye or they're on board because they, believe pigs can fly. They are on board with this, and we got to get everybody back onto a fact-based stream of information. Gina, I have a comment about what you just said in just a second.
to all those people who are apoplectic over having new media voices, you guys failed, and that's why we're here.
The chair of the White House Correspondents Association, a group that has represented White House reporters for more than a century, recently wrote, "For the public to get information it needs to understand and make decisions about the most powerful office in the world, it needs news produced by experienced professional journalists who ask tough questions and produce fair coverage."
Okay, so the way that this whole piece was made is,
Let's play a little bit of what we heard recently.
That kind of bothered me at the end there because, you have Donnie smiling there, at the end, and then you have her getting the last word, and then, if you are a MAGA person, you read that last quote and so this is like a middle of the road, even though we may perceive this to be like, oh yeah, based on the things that they're saying, like, wow, they're really taking them down. No, this is actually a piece that carries, it looks worse for CNN, and it's actually kind of like clickbait for MAGA people if they happen to watch CNN, where they would like be laughing at Donnie, right? Because they'd be like, he's laughing at our lady right here when she says that she is a journalist, and he pauses for so long, and it's like, yeah, because he can't even handle the truths that she says, right? That's what we have to perceive about what we just watched as well. Because oh no, oh God, stop looking. Oh my goodness. Ugh, sorry about that. Ooh. Okay, so Gene said in the chat, MSM used to be so steady, it was just the facts, and we the people made opinions from our shared reality. So Gene, what I would say, oh my God, I'm seeing that everyone has now started to see that video of the stuff being pulled out of people's noses. But Gene, what I would say about that is that, mainstream media, legacy media, used to have plenty of its own problems that still persist to this day. It used to be mainly only white men who were the gatekeepers. And so they decided what was worth covering and what wasn't. There is no objectivity in journalism, and I challenge anyone who says that. A great book on that is The View from Somewhere by Lewis Raven Wallace. And there is a little podcast that goes along with that, produced by my friend Ramona back in the day. So everyone should check that out. But so what's happening, Gene, is that it's not just that that we used to just have MSM being steady, which is your idea, and we love that. And thank you so much for providing the hearts. I forgot to tell people to heart and like and subscribe, and please give me money. A subscription on Substack is great, but if you love what I do here, a donation to the Cash App or the Venmo link, Follow the Fear up above, would be incredible. I would be so grateful. I'm trying to make this be what I do for a living, and if you believe that there's value to helping people to understand the news and information ecosystem, if you believe that like I do, and I know that where we are as a country, the fascism that is rising in our country is the result of everyone's interaction with our media ecosystem, and everyone's allowing the information war to be perpetuated upon all of us. The culture war is nothing more than a missile that has been created by the arms dealers of the right-wing think tanks to obliterate the American mind and set the conditions for a theocracy in America. So if you appreciate me talking about these issues, I need you to boost me as much as you can so that I can continue to do this. I need you to like and share every single video your old pal Ducey has ever created and published on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. Yes, Ed, thank you so much. So, Gene, the title is The View from Somewhere. If you're also a podcast person, some of the episodes are a little hit or miss, but it is some episodes are incredible. And so it's View for Somewhere. View from Somewhere, and that's a reference to a media critic, Jay Rosen, who is an NYU professor of journalism. Jay Rosen has a concept called the view from nowhere, which is what mainstream media often does in political coverage. It doesn't, it pretends that it doesn't have a bias, right? It pretends that it doesn't have, that the journalist doesn't know which is the correct or based in fact, appraisal of the situation. It just looks at an issue and it doesn't have anything to say about it. It's like when you quote two people, someone says the sky it's raining, the other person says it's not raining. It would be the journalist just printing those two things and not sticking their hand outside the window to actually provide the view from where they are of, oh, it is raining or not, right? Journalists are supposed to be people who nail down facts and arrive at truth by hammering down fact after fact. And so if they abdicate that responsibility, what are they doing? They're not really doing journalism at that point. So anyway, I don't know where we are or where we were. I think we should close by I think we should close by singing a song. We're going to improvise a song based on the suggestion of a culture war topic. Madison, if you want to let me know how we're doing with those other songs, that would be awesome. I'm so appreciative of your efforts and your work. I would love to post them soon so that we can go viral across time and space. I made some videos last night. My fiance did not care for them, so maybe I have to go back to the drawing board. But so here we go. So what we do here is we improvise songs based on the suggestion of a culture war bullshit, right-wing generated culture war bullshit topic, as well as the suggestion of a genre. So we're going to pull up the program that we use. We've got a lot of tabs up. The old Deuce Meister has too many tabs. Too many tabs. Too many tabs, baby. What do we do, baby, without tabs? David, I love that. You know that your buddy Rev Deuce hates to say no. The only problem is that I want it to be a culture war bullshit thing. So I'm being a jerk. Oops, you're looking behind the scenes. I don't know why I have that up. Let's get into here. Oh, we got it up twice. The copyright-free music site's so nice that we put it up twice. I was referring to the MSM not saying opinions. Okay, Gene, I'm sorry if I misunderstood you. I'm not sure I know what you mean there. Not saying opinions. But I love you and I support you and I want you to have a great day and I want you to, spread joy as best you can and tell people that you love them. And maybe these are things that you already do. And I'm so grateful for you and I'm so grateful for everyone. And so how will you use your energy today? How will you give gifts to other people today? How will you connect with other people? How will you listen and agree and commit to the ideas of others even when they are not ideas of your own? How will you be grateful? The 6 tenets of quality improvisational comedy are not just a way to achieve laughs at a yuck hut around the country. They are a way to live life. Energy, support, commitment, giving, connection, and gratitude. That's right. Did you know that all we are sacks of energy? Light beams from the sky, and we catch it by eating or drinking. We are literally the sun's energy vibrating on different frequencies. And when we are born into this world, we find it so easy to connect with other people. But as we move on through life, fear, our God, Todd, the God of fear, who is in control of the decisions we make in life and how we live our lives. He is working on us the moment we are born, injecting us with his patterns of shame and doubt, guilt, inadequacy, violence, hatred, cruelty, domination, persecution, and bigotry. And so what we have to do every single day to achieve joy in this world is to push back on fear's program, not just in our own lives, but in the spaces that we call society. For fear's agents, the little scared scared little boys who are themselves fear's victim are acting as dicks at all times. They are spreading fear's messages. They are continuing his cycle of abuse and violence. So we have to push back against the oligarchs and the billionaires, the scared little boys who own and control the means of communication and tune the algorithms and the headlines to divide us and to keep us underinformed. Yes, and that is what we need to do at all times here. Yes, and I love you, you love me. So can we get a suggestion of a genre? And then can we get a suggestion of a bullshit culture war topic that someone like, you know, Tucker Carlson or Barry Weiss or Ben Shapiro or Benny Rubin or David Rubin and Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, something they might be saying about the world right now, and we are going to sing a song in that lampoons that, or that we're going to improvise a song about that. So could somebody please, share that with me now? That would be so nice. I would so deeply appreciate that. Yes, and hello, yes, and. Yes, and, yes, and, yes, and. I'm just waiting for the suggestion of a genre, and I'm waiting for the suggestion of a bullshit culture war topic that is spread by the disinformers on the right. The propagandists, yes, and. That is what we are seeking to do. We are seeking, is everything working? Is everything on? There are no suggestions coming in through the internet, and we want to get those suggestions in the chats. Jason says reggae. Okay, Jason, that's your idea, and we got to support it. It's not Rev Deuce's favorite. Sometimes also on these sites, they... So, Jason, do you have a culture war BS thing? Dreaming of reggae. I try to do a song that's like 2.5 minutes is ideal. Let's see if we get one that's like 2.5 minutes. No, 333. How's this one? Make your grayscale. It's kind of loud. Sorry about that. Why is that so loud? It's loud in my headphones, I'll tell you that much. So we got reggae. Does someone want to give the suggestion of a BS? No, it's got lyrics, reggae instrumental we got to put in. We are just going to improvise a song, and then we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to ask you how you will be a fact warrior today, how you will spread fact-based information that aligns with democracy, because you are a soldier in the information war, whether you know it or not. Is brought to you by Grass Milk Soar. Now, could you hear me just say this program is brought to you by Grass Milk Soar? Because I think I have to add a mic to all of those things. Let me see if this works. Hello. That's interesting. You did hear that. Okay, that's interesting. So everybody, are you taking in information light? Or information type. So we have the suggestion of a song about shutting up about Joe Biden. So I guess we can do that. We could do that, my friend. We can do that. I think that I think some of these though you aren't able to hear me. Okay. Let's see. Like, do you understand? Like that one, the bass never changes. Okay, we're gonna do that like reggaeton one. That's reggae. Okay? So everybody, I want you to have a wonderful day. I want you to have the best time out there. Live your life, spread joy the Brooklyn way, be a positive being of light in this world. We are in control at all times of our energy. That's what the improviser knows. You step out onto the stage and you become whatever it is that you want to become. And you act however it is that you want to act, while also listening and agreeing with people as best you can. And so that's how we want to live our lives. And I know it's not easy. I can just say, oh, you can just have whatever energy you want. That's not always easy for any of us. But if you train yourself in improv, you know that that is more and more possible. You know that it is possible to do a little bit of a reset. And maybe you have ways to do that for yourself. Maybe you don't. But I encourage you to listen and agree, to spread joy, to love. Who will you call on the phone today and tell them you love them? How will you make others in your life look like a rock star? Yes, and okay? And how will you support your friend Rev Deuce by going and reading the articles on public enlightenment and sending them to your friends? How will you support Rev Deuce by sending him a donation on Venmo or Cash App? How will you support Rev Deuce by signing up, subscribing, liking, following, and doing all of those things so that you can help him get into the algorithm so that he can grow this and talk about these issues every single day? And how will you tell your friends who care about media and information to come here and spend time with Deuce? And we do also have fun, and we're going to have fun right now. We're going to sing a song about how the right is incapable of stopping talking about Joe Biden. Mitt Romney, John McCain, George W. Bush, George Bush Sr., Ronald Reagan. Hey MAGA, you don't hear the people who are not MAGA talking every day about every single Republican president. Because MAGA, it's not something that you do when you're talking about the here and now, the present. You see, you are obsessed with Joe Biden because it is a way to keep people from thinking about the horrors of Donald Trump's administration. Donald Trump lies every day, but all the influencers on the right and the podcasters and the people who do the fake media organizations, they're obsessed with Joe Biden. MAGA, MAGA, you are obsessed with Joe Biden. You are told by the right, the people who do your media, that everyone on the left loves Joe Biden, but that is not true. MAGA, you gotta wake up to the reality that for the last 60 years there has been an attempt to manipulate not just you, but to manipulate also me. And so the world we have is not the result of the mainstream media. No, it's because you have been lied to by people like Roger Ailes, who has created manipulation TV channels like Fox News. Yes, you have been lied to by people who want to manipulate you, by the Christian nationalist billionaires who are not your friends. MAGA, you're obsessed with Joe Biden. Why are you obsessed with Joe Biden? MAGA, we need you to stop being so obsessed with Joe Biden. Because currently the president is Donald Trump, and he is a corrupt individual who is lying to all of us, not just everyone who's not MAGA. MAGA, we need you to get back on the information stream that is mostly fact-based. But you've been told by your pundits that it is mean. You've been told that you shouldn't listen to the journalists because they are who reports on the corruption of the people that you idolize. You need to stop idolizing people in power. Everyone in the non-MAGA space does not idolize people in power. We need you to recognize the asymmetry. We need you to recognize the, I can't say recognize. MAGA, your pundits tell you to be obsessed with Joe Biden anytime someone brings up something corrupt that Donald Trump has done. It's a classic redirection. It's a classic propaganda technique. You need to understand that the people you listen to are trying to manipulate you. It is an effort that began with Richard Nixon in the 1970s. We used to call it the press, but then he started calling it the liberal media. The plan then was to attack the journalists because they're the people who report on actual fraud, waste, and corruption. Let's not listen to billionaires. MAGA, we need you to stop being obsessed with Joe Biden. It just ended abruptly. Okay, so we got something out of that. I don't know where the part is that we want to cut, but we will cut apart from that, and that's it. Okay, so everybody, we want you to have a great day. We love you so much. Please go like and share. I would love it if you just could do one thing for me, okay? If you could be a fact warrior today by taking one of the pieces of information that was fact-based and truthful and sharing it with the world on your social media. I need you to be a fact warrior. I need everybody. We all do, for everyone's sake. If we care about people, whatever issue you care about, if you're not also fighting for a high-quality media diet for everyone else, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? If you care about climate change, if you care about criminal justice reform, if you care about anything in this world, if you care about that, guns are the leading cause of death of children, if you care about any of those things, nothing's gonna change if you don't change the propaganda system that's been created to manipulate all of us and have us at each other's throats. Information is everything. And we've been everyone's so happy sucking down milkshakes of dog shit and broken glass when it comes to their information diet. You know what I mean? So we all have to care about everyone's information diet. Gene, I love you so much, and I'm not saying you don't, but Gene, that means that as amazing as you are with your media diet, you need to tell everyone about your media diet. You need to share all your fact-based sources of information with everybody at all times. That's how we change this world. Otherwise, we're totally effed in the A, in the bad way, because many people enjoy that. Okay? So that's what we need from everybody. So how will you be a fact warrior today? Will you go and spread public enlightenment? Will you spread I'm trying to find one that I want to use. Oh my gosh. How will you be a fact warrior today? Will you go to the profile of Blue Sky, get yourself a Blue Sky account, go to the lists, go to fact checkers, diverse opinion, historians, legal experts, spread some piece of fact-based news about the world. Tell others about the lists here where people can get all the context they need for the news in just a half hour every day by clicking and clacking on these different lists on publicenlightenment.com. Okay? Go to YouTube, okay? And go to publicenlightenment.com on YouTube. And you can watch our latest video, Ground News, is it a reliable source? This is a 15-minute exploration of ground news that was done during one of our lives. You can go and share The Culture War is a PSYOP, which is about Christopher Rufo. Again, this is from the live stream. We also want to make videos that, are shared with other people. This video only has 6 views, okay? We needed to have 1 million views. And if you're with me and you understand that this video has 15 views,
but it's
if
called
you're with me and you understand that, we
like...
need you to get out there and be a fact warrior. There's no shame for Rev Deuce that he's small. He is mighty. And so we need to get out there. We need to go to the TikTok. If you have a TikTok account and you want to be a fact warrior, you need to take action. You need to take action, okay, by going to Rev Deuce's reposts, all right? And all of these are persuasive pieces of fact-based information by Rev Deuce fact-checked influencers, because 40% of Americans under the age of 30 do get their news from influencers, and over 60% of influencers do not fact-check any of their information. So we have to spread fact-based information online as best we can. So I love you, you love me. We are an international family that is growing every single day. Please, how will you spread fact-based information that aligns with democracy today? Have a wonderful day. Follow